Welcome to Progressive Retail. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. Today is episode 1 of a 3-part series I'm doing that's a little bit of a departure from the standard how do we sell more cars in the dealership stuff. I'm going to be talking about goals, health, wellness, and achievement, and strengthening relationships. Today I've got Dr. Willie Jolley, and we've got a great interview lined up for you. Let's get started. I am super excited today because I love to have people that, as they say, in real life. Talking about goals and relationships today, my guest is Dr. Willie Jolley. He is a Hall of Fame speaker. He is real near and dear to the auto industry because he was hired several years ago personally by then Ford CEO Alan Mulally to come in and help them as he was bringing back Ford. So I'm so happy to have Willie Jolley here with me. Willie, how are you, sir?
Cory, it's a joy and a privilege and a pleasure to be on with you, and greetings to you, all your viewers, listeners, readers, and give a love to your beautiful bride, CMR.
I definitely will. She'll like that personal shout out on the show this week. So,
right.
When I was having this conversation, I'm saying, I'm doing this 3-part series talking about goals and achievement, and relationships and health and wellness. And I said, who am I going to talk to about goals and relationships inside the automotive dealerships and when they go home? And there was only one person I could think of. Of course, you're the author of several books, including An Attitude of Excellence as one of your bestsellers. So I said I had to have you on the show to talk a little bit more with people. So I want to, again, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Well, I'm honored and I'm overjoyed to be here. Now, this is the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year is a time when people are trying to get pumped up and moved to make this a great year. And I want to ask everybody who's watching, how many want this to be the best year? In fact, how many of you are ready for a really good year, okay? And so if you're ready for a really good year, what is it going to take to get to that good year? And what will you be able to look back at the end of this year, look back and say, wow, that was a great year. But a great ending is usually the result of a really good beginning.
That's right.
And so what we want to do is help people get their beginning really kicked off and hyper move to the next level for this to be the great year. So in that case, what we want people to do is first, do not make New Year's resolutions, because many people have made New Year's resolutions, and I want to let you know that you make them on the 1st of January or the 2nd of January or whenever, and by the end of January, you've forgotten what they were all about or what they were at all.
Right.
No, I encourage people to set goals, because goals have power, they have meaning, and they have meat. They can help you to transform your life. They transform my life. And so I encourage people to set goals. No football team ever wins a Super Bowl without a goal. And no battle is won without a battle plan. And so what we want you to do is have a goal-mindedness for this year. Now, what is it going to take for you to make great goals? Well, your goals should be SMART. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Specific. Rather than saying, I want to lose some weight, well, how much weight? I know I have a goal to lose some weight. How much weight? Right. Then the specific, measurable. That's people say, well, I want to be happy this year. Well, how do you measure happiness? I'm happy every morning I wake up without a chalk outline around my body. I said, it's a good day. So right. How do you measure it? So it must be something you can check that you say, I measured that and I hit it or not. It must be achievable. It must be within the realm of possibility for this year. Now, many people say, well, I want to make $1 billion. Right now, they're making about 50,000. It's hard to go from 50,000 to $1 billion in a year, but maybe they can go from 50,000 to 250,000 or 500,000. That's achievable in 1 year. And then there's realistic. And look, I talk about realism is that I live in Washington, D.C. The professional football franchise in Washington, D.C. did not make the playoffs. Right. And I want to say, hey, I want to help them. I'm going to become their new quarterback and take them to the Super Bowl. That's not realistic. Right. At my age and stage and skill set, that's not going to happen. Finally, it must be time bound. that you must put a time limit on it. You know, we don't put a time limit on something, then we procrastinate. And procrastination is the biggest nation in the world. And so we've got to get past procrastination and put a time limit. I know I want to lose X amount of pounds and get to my target weight by X date. I know I want to make X amount of money and I want to get to that by X date. So put a date on it. Push yourself. I've recently finished a new book and I sent it to the publisher and I pressed because they gave me a deadline. They said it has to be in by X date for us to be able to get it out into the marketplace on a timely manner. So they gave me a deadline and I had to work those last few days, really put time and energy to it because I wanted it to be right. So I say that to say you want to make your goals smart and you want to be profound and proficient in making them happen. So I'm excited about helping your viewers, your listeners to really make this the best year ever and to set some really wise and impactful goals. See, one thing is I want you to set the goal. Then we want to help you to get the goal, get to that goal that you've said you want to get. And I hope that you're ready to have a really good year, but it's going to take work. And now, why is it, Cory, that people don't set goals? Well, the reason is because they don't know how. So I want to encourage people to go to a site. Go to Willie Jolley. First of all, I want to give everybody a gift. Let me give everybody a gift.
Please.
WillieJolley.com/gift. WillieJolley.com/gift. If you do that, we'll give you a digital gift. And you're a friend of Cory's, you're a friend of mine, and that's what we want to do because he is just dynamite. We just love, my wife and I love Cory and his wife, and we think the world of them. Now, second, if you want to learn how to set powerful goals, go to JolleyU, JolleyU.com/goals. JolleyU.com/goals. And you'll be able to get access to a seminar I did where we really help some people build businesses, grow their income in 1 year. I tell the story years ago, Cory, about a lady who came to one of my goal setting seminars in January. She came in January. She was in a dead-end job with the government. Her marriage was on the rocks. Things were bad in her life. And I said, look, you got to set goals. She said, well, I don't want to do it. It's hard. I helped her to set goals. We set the goals, and we were doing this every month. Well, she came back in February. She said, well, you know, when I went back home with my family and told them my goals, they laughed at me. I said, you got to stop talking to your goals to people who cannot help you get there. Remember that losers hang around losers, but winners hang around winners. Start hanging around with positive people who will encourage you. And those people, when you become successful, they will say they knew it all the time. So don't listen to them. She came back the third month, the fourth month, the fifth month, and each month she would have an excuse. I would encourage her, and she would go back all fired up. After the seventh month, she disappeared. I didn't see the eighth month, ninth month, 10th month, 11th month, 12th month. I said, whatever happened to Angie? They said she disappeared. Well, about a year and a half later, Cory, I get a call one day, and the lady on the other phone, on the end of the phone was Angie. She said, this is Angie. You remember me from the goal setting seminar? Yes. How are you? She said, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. She said, are you going to be home on Tuesday? I said, yeah. Around 4 o'clock? I said, yeah. She said, I want you to turn on the Oprah Winfrey show.
Oh, wow.
They're doing a special show about millionaires under the age of 40, and I'm being featured. And she said, I want to thank you for helping me set goals that help me get there. So she recently called me not long ago. That's been a number of years now. And she said, you remember that? I said, how could I forget that? That was life-changing. So I want to encourage people to go to JolleyU.com/goals and let me help you to have greater goals.
All right, so let's pivot for a second. I mean, that's great. I love the analogy, smart. I think it's nice, easy, concise for people to work with. And I certainly hope they'll take advantage of the goal seminar. So let me pivot for a second because one of the things that you've recently done is you and your wife have written a new book talking about relationships. And in the auto industry, with the schedules, it's well known. There's 3 Ds in the auto industry that's well known: drinking, drugs, divorce. I want to talk about the relationship. I want to get a few nuggets from you, because a lot of people working in that retail environment, they're working 80 hours, 100 plus hours. They're going in at 8 a.m., not coming home till 8 p.m. They're leaving before their kids get up in the morning. They're coming home after their kids are awake or asleep, and it bears down on relationships. You talk about communications, a couple good nuggets in that book. What can you tell our audience specifically that are working these crazy, sometimes retail schedules about and trying to keep their relationships intact while they're doing it?
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's so profound, that in a high stress environment where you're being challenged to make more money, to close more sales, and you're working longer hours, waiting for people to come into the showroom, you find a lot of those kind of high stress positions have what you just said: drugs, drinking, and divorce. And so what we want to help people to do is to survive and thrive in their relationships. So at the end of the day, they'll have a home and a family to go to after they succeeded in their industry. Well, we wrote a book, my wife and I, called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. We've been married for going on 33 years. We haven't had an argument in over 30 years. Now, those first few years were like World War III. I mean, it was rough, but we learned some principles, Cory, that helped us to stop arguing, to get together, to work together, and to succeed together. And it's been great. So we talk about in the book that there are three big boulders that break up marriages: sex, money, and communication. And that communication is that time together, those principles and those resources that will help you to become better friends. So we go through 10 principles, 10 secrets that we've learned, as well as people who we've interviewed who've been married 40, 50, and 60 years.
Can you give us a couple of those? Give us a couple with the time we have. We're running a lot of time, but give me a few.
Is that you've got to learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. And that's a big one, because you're going to have disagreements.
Right.
And we actually give that chapter away. That's probably one of the most profound chapters. We give that away because our goal is to help 1 million marriages to be saved and a million more to be enhanced. So go to jollymarriage.com and get that chapter. But you got to learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. And one of the ways to do that is finding some rules of engagement. You're going to have disagreements, but rules of engagement so that you don't hit below the belt. My wife doesn't like people to holler at her. I don't like people to threaten me. So we had a big argument where I hollered and she threatened to leave me. That was our last argument. Because afterwards we said, we won't do that anymore. I promised I wouldn't holler. She promised she wouldn't threaten to leave. And we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Man, there's so much value here. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there, Willie. But man, I mean, obviously, we could talk forever on these topics. And
when we're together, we do that, folks. Let me tell you, Cory Mosley is one of the smartest, brightest guys on the planet, and I'm just grateful to have him as a friend. And I want to applaud you for watching his program and being a part of his tribe, because he will help you make more money.
Man, I really, almost on cue. I really appreciate that. Dr. Willie Jolley, my friend and expert in achievement and relationships. Dr. Willie Jolley, thanks again for joining the show.
Thank you, Cory. Have a great day.
Well, that's our show for today. This has been another edition of Progressive Retail. I'm your host, Cory Mosley, and I invite you to visit us online at mosleyautomotive.com, where you can get information on how we're helping dealers become more progressive and profitable. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.